Okay, Hare Krishna, all the dear devotees for joining our program on Srimad Bhagavatam study. Today is our 74th class of this series of classes, and today we will complete the 7th chapter of the second canto, which we started maybe 2-3 weeks ago. Today we will finish the chapter number 7 by finishing the remaining verses like 50 to 53, and then we will move to the 8th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam second canto. So this is the 7th chapter is all about Narad Brahma dialogue, Narad Brahma Samvad, which got initiated somewhere in the 5th chapter of the second canto, where Narad Muni started explaining about the process of creation. So that is where the chapter is ongoing. And at the moment, the chapter is now at the juncture where Narad Muni is concluding the many questions that Narad Muni had asked him, mainly about the process of creation. And not only answered Narad Muni's question, but also kind of from his own side added some description about the various Leela avatars of the Lord. So we had some discussion about the Leela avatars of the Lord also on the previous classes. So let us begin the discussion. We will start with the Mangalacharan prayers, and we would like to request Anuradha Mataji if she has joined us. Let me check. Anuradha Mataji, are you there? My feeling is that she has not joined us. So anyone else who would like to do, maybe let me check if Charumati Mataji, would you like to do Mangalacharan recitation? Do you remember it or do you have practice of reciting it?
No, I have to practice it, Guruji. I'll do it some other time.
Okay. Maybe then
I can
someone
do.
else.
I
Let
will
me.
do, Prabhuji.
Okay. Now we have multiple volunteers. So maybe we will honor maybe Vrindavaneshwari Mataji because ladies first.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. Please go ahead.
ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेशो गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet. Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama-shloke Bhaktir-bhavati Naishtaki. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare
Okay, Hare Krishna Mataji, very, very sweet chanting of the mantras, very melodious, done with lot of emotion and devotion. So really appreciate your sincere chanting of the mantras and the prayers. Thank you.
Learn from you, Guruji.
And yeah, now we go to the next part of our program, which is the recap of the
Sorry,
previous class.
Prabhu, little late. I got a net problem. Sorry.
Okay, no problem, Mataji.
Hare
We will give you the opportunity. Maybe
Next.
Rakesh ji, in the next class, can we give Mataji the opportunity?
Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji, we can. Mangala Mata ji का
Okay.
नाम था initially. We
Okay,
can
now
change it to Radha
yeah,
Mata.
फिर
okay.
मुझे कभी चांस देंगे
अब
प्रभु जी?
उसके बाद माताजी, उसके बाद आपको हम
ओके, हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी।
जी जी. So we now go back again to Vrindavaneshwari Mataji, who is going to recap the previous class for us. So Mataji, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Yes, yes. In a moment, Prabhu. I am just opening my
Okay.
writer. Give me a second. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe I can introduce you to the audience. Vrindavaneshwari Mataji comes from the same hometown, from the same city where I also live, or I used to live. Now I'm based in Bangalore, but my hometown is Muzaffarnagar in Uttar Pradesh. So she's also from the same place. Not only from the same place, but we also went to the same school, and we also used to live in the same locality there in Muzaffarnagar. And Mataji had been a very good student in all her childhood, I would say, and then also later on went on to University of Roorkee for doing his biotech engineering. And now she is based in Muzaffarnagar, where she teaches young students classes and so on. And then she's also actively involved in the preaching of Krishna consciousness. So Mataji, please.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So in the last class, we did from the 7th chapter of 2nd canto, we did verses 34 to 49. So the first section of the class involved description of Leela avatars. So the rebellious souls like Pralambasur, etc. were killed either directly by Lord Hari or by his potencies or by his personal associates. The verse also describes many demonic personalities attained either Vaikunthas, that is, those who recognized Hari went to Vaikuntha, and those who did not, like who only estimated the Lord as a powerful being, after killed by the Lord or by his associates or by his personal potencies, they went to impersonal Brahma Jyoti. Here, next verse, Brahmaji foretells the future compilation of Vedic literature like Srimad Bhagavatam by Vyasadeva. This is done for the less intelligent and less fortunate people of Kali Yuga. In the next verse, we understood the incarnation of Lord Buddha, who preached sub-religious principles like ahimsa. Importantly, the verse does not describe the same Buddha incarnation that we know in the present history of humankind. Now, Prabhuji told us that Lord Buddha bewildered the minds of atheists who were well versed in Vedic knowledge but annihilated the inhabitants of various planets. They would fly in the rockets made by Maidanav. In the next verse, we understood the incarnation of Kalki Avatara. He will be the supreme chastiser of demonic Shudras who will know not even the word meaning of sacrifice. In second section of our class, we understood the description of Gunavataras. Now here, the different representative manifestations of energy of supreme power, the law has been described like the Lord Brahma or the Pinans or Prajapatis, the creator is understood as the creators. Then the Lord Vishnu, demigods, kings, they are described as the maintainers, and Lord Shiva, atheist and anger. These are who are the destroyers, have been described. Now, the most important statement of the purport of the verses, which is given by Srila Prabhupada, is that material creation is but a temporary manifestation meant to give a chance of liberation to the conditioned soul. In the next section of our class, we understood who can understand the Lord and his glories. So here, Lord Brahma tells Narad Ji that no one is capable of describing the prowess of Lord Vishnu, who in Vamana avatar or Sri Vikrama incarnation moved his leg beyond Satyaloka to reach the neutral state of three modes of material nature. Not even the modern scientists who have studied atomic energy can understand this. Continuing the same topic, Brahmaji tells Narad-ji that neither himself nor the sages and not even Shesha, the first incarnation of the Lord, which has got thousands of mouths, he can describe the potencies and prowess of the Supreme Lord. Now, then who can understand? Only the surrendered soul can understand the Lord. So, what kind of surrendered soul can understand the infinite glories and potencies of the Lord? Only a soul who is completely surrendered to the Lord, because such a soul is able to overcome the ocean of illusion and therefore he can understand. However, those who are attached to the body are unable to understand him, though they may be engaged in many philanthropic and altruistic activities. Here, Prabhuji told us that these activities may be helpful to come to the mode of goodness or sattva guna, but it will not help us to reach the transcendental plane. It will not help us to realize the Lord completely. Then Lord Brahma described many devotees who know the unsurmountable glories of the Lord because they are surrendered and thus understand him through his Yogmaya potency. So we understood clearly that two things are required to understand the Lord. One is the complete surrender, and second is his own favor. Unless Krishna favors, even the surrender soul cannot understand the Lord completely. Srila Prabhupada tells us in the verse purport that one cannot have the knowledge of the Lord by sense or material instruments or by mental speculations involving ifs and buts. One should gain knowledge by surrendering onto the Lord and by acknowledging the authority of the person mentioned in the verse. So in the next verse, we understood that the surrendered people, even if they are women, Shudras, or Shabar Jati, or sinful can understand his potencies, then how? Only if they take shelter of a pure devotee of the Lord and follow his footsteps in devotional service. That is, here Prabhupada clarifies that bona fide representative of the Lord is as good as the Lord himself. So, in other words, the living, loving representative of the Lord is more kind and more easy to approach as compared to the Lord himself. So, then in the last feature of the class, in the last section of the class, three features of absolute truths have been mentioned. That is Bhagavan, Paramatma and Brahman. Here, Bhagavan feature is superior to Paramatma and Brahman feature. And he can only be realized by devotional service. In the verse 47 was the most important verse that we discussed in detail. The interpretation of the verse is given by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Pad and Srila Prabhupada. So according to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the verse describes the Brahman and the Paramatma feature of Parbrahma, that is of Bhagavan. But according to Srila Prabhupada, the whole verse describes only the Bhagavan feature of the Supreme Truth. Both the versions of are within the devotional philosophies and therefore perfectly correct. As Paramatma, Lord exists as completely neutral and therefore peaceful, which is not possible for Bhagavan feature, because Lord is biased towards his devotees and therefore he cannot be peaceful. So Prabhuji gave us the example of Jayadrat's story. And then as Sadasad, describing about the Sadasad part, as Paramatma, Lord is situated in the body of a lowly beast like that of a pig and the body of a demigod also. As Brahman is formless, so cannot be described in the word, as some Sanskrit words of the verse tell us. It is the feature of Bhagwan before whom Maya is ashamed to come. It is also just one aspect of the Lord, therefore this feature imparts unlimited happiness and dissipates grief. Now, Srila Prabhupada described the word Paramatma Tattvam as Param Atma Tattvam. So, his interpretation is different from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Pad, but perfectly correct. In the next verse, we understood yogis and jnanis giving up their paths after liberation, analogy of the Indra, indifferent to digging a well. And pious activities are limited, not done by bhaktas, as bhakti is performed even after attainment of the goal. Also, bhakta does not require artificial control of the mind or mental speculation as done by jnanis and yogis. In the last verse of the class, we understood that Bhagwan is the ultimate benefactor of jnanis, yogis and bhaktas, and imperfect devotional service is continued in further lives also. So, thank you so much for patient hearing. Any mistakes, or I apologize deeply for that. Hare Krishna.
No mistakes, Mataji, but a lot of appreciation. I
Thank you.
think you took a lot of, effort to re-listen the class, if I have interpreted correctly, because you explained all the detailed points or the finer points in the class that I had explained very nicely and very coherently and very smoothly. So thank you very much
Thank you.
for making my effort worthwhile.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is very nice. And then now let us continue the journey further. We have covered till 49th verse. We will now take this journey ahead. There are only 4 more verses remaining in this. Sorry, okay, I forgot to delete that slide. Okay, so we have covered this third section where 49th verses we just now discussed in the summary. Now we will move to the next section where 50 to 53, 4 verses are there. Here you would see that Brahmaji is now concluding his discussion with Narad Muni. So he started this discussion in 5th chapter. 6th also he continued further. And 7th chapter he spoke kind of extempore So the question that Narad Muni asked were finished by answering by Brahmaji in the 6th chapter. But in the 7th chapter beginning, Brahmaji wanted to extend that description by picking up a topic which he personally would like to explain about the Leela avatars. Now the whole conversation, I would say, Narad Brahma Samvad is coming to a conclusion, and 50 to 53 verses is mainly about that. So in the 50th verse, first of all, Brahmaji will conclude what all he has said in these 3 chapters. He will conclude in one particular verse. And then in the next 3 verses, 52, 50, 51, 52, 53, he will encourage Narad Muni to kindly further expand this knowledge to other people also. So let us see how this is go. We will quickly reach to that point where the verses start. Today we are going to do with 50th verse. So here we are. So once again, we request maybe 1 or 2 devotees. We
I'll
don't have
do,
a lot of.
Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I'll do.
Okay, Anuradha Mataji is there. So
I will do
okay.
it, Prabhuji.
So Anuradha Mataji and Charumati Mataji, 2 I think should be good enough, because today we don't have a lot of verses. Total of 10 verses we'll discuss, but though all those verses are very, very, I would say, very nice, sweet verses. Not very technical. Personally, I am little scared with the technical verses because it takes a lot of time of mine. Okay, so we'll start with Anuradha Mataji's reading. Okay.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. My dear son, I have now explained in brief the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is creator of the manifested worlds. Without him, Hari the Lord, there are no other causes of the phenomenal and noumenal existences.
So, my dear son, I have now explained in brief the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is creator of the manifested world. So, as I was mentioning to you, Brahmaji is now concluding it. So, what he is trying to say in short is, you asked me questions and I gave you answers. And ultimately, the answer is very simple. It is the Supreme Lord who is the cause of all causes. Either it is material world or it is the spiritual world or anything else that you can think of, the cause is only the Supreme Lord. So that is the main gist, and this is something which Brahmaji confirms in this particular verse, which is the 50th verse. So there is not much to discuss here. He is concluding it now. Now, after concluding that conversation, he encourages Narad Muni for the dissemination of this knowledge to others. So distribute this knowledge. So please read from here, Mataji. Yeah.
Distribute this knowledge. O Narada, this science of God, Srimad Bhagavatam, was spoken to me by the Lord. It was spoken as a collection of Lord's vibhutis. Please expand this science. Please describe the science of Godhead with determination and in a manner that it develops bhakti in all living entities.
So here you will see that Brahmaji is saying that, O Narad, this science of God means Srimad Bhagavatam, was spoken to me by the Lord. Now, we will also discuss in canto number 2 later on that there were 4 verses that were spoken by the Supreme Lord to Brahmaji, which is known as Chatushloki Bhagavatam. So those who have been students of Bhagavad Gita would know there is Chatushloki Gita also, which is mainly from the chapter number 10 of the Bhagavad Gita. Verses, if I have recollect correctly, is 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. So those 4 verses.
8 to 11.
8 to 11.
8
okay.
to 11.
8, 9, 10, and 11. So those 4 verses, in brief, in gist, explains the whole message of Bhagavad Gita, the central theme of Bhagavad Gita. So similarly, we also have Chatushloki Bhagavatam. So this is what Brahmaji is referring here. O Narad, this science of God, which is Srimad Bhagavatam, was spoken to me by the Lord. And he is referring here to Chatushloki Bhagavatam. So Chatushloki Bhagavatam was spoken in 4 verses. So in brief, this was spoken very briefly by the Lord to Narad, to Brahmaji. And then he says that it was spoken as the collection of Lord's vibhutis. So Lord's vibhutis means all the great things that the Lord has done or the devotees of the Lord has done. What Srimad Bhagavatam really contains is all these vibhutis. Please expand these signs. Please expand these signs means you have understood the message, you have grasped the gist of the message. The Lord also spoke to me in 4 verses only. But now what you are expected to do is you please go and expand these signs. Expand these signs like, so whenever we speak these verses, it is a very a large amount of information is actually packed in a very small text. So like we have a zip file. So we have a lot of big files, and when we zip it, then maybe a 5 MB file can be compressed into maybe 1 MB or maybe half an MB, etc., etc. So similarly, these 4 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam or whatever I have spoken to you might be very brief, but it has lot of information in it. So I would suggest that kindly expand the same to others. And like I would also expand it to you, and you can expand it further. Then Vyasdev probably will expand it even further, and so on. Like it will go on. So this science was given to from Narad Muni. Now, what is the parampara of this Srimad Bhagavatam? So first of all, that is also kind of can be understood from this verse. So Lord spoke it to Brahmaji. Brahmaji spoke it to Narad Muni. Narad Muni spoke to, who was the disciple of Narad Muni? Who was the disciple of Narad Muni?
Vyasa.
Vyasa. So Narad Muni spoke to Vyasdev, and then Vyasdev spoke to whom? Vyasdev spoke to whom?
Shukdev Goswami.
Shukdev Goswami, very good. And Shukdev Goswami spoke to
Raja
maybe
Parikshit.
you can say King Parikshit, or in that same assembly, Sud Goswami was also there. So
Yes.
Sud Goswami then spoke to maybe sages of Naimisharanya and like that. So there is a you can say a parampara that you can very clearly see even from this reading of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada also kind of emphasizes that it should be heard in the parampara system and not to be heard from the professional reciters. Because when the professional reciters recite Srimad Bhagavatam, they may not, their motivation may not be pure. And what could be their motivation? Their motivation could be earning money, or there could be motivation could be earning their influence, earning their maybe name and fame and glory, etc. There maybe they want to get famous as very learned scholars and so on. But this should not be spoken with I would say ulterior motives. Ulterior motives, as I mentioned, could be name, fame, glory, wealth, etc. But it should be spoken with a missionary zeal. With a missionary zeal means with determination and in a manner that develops bhakti in all living entities. And in a manner that it develops bhakti in all the living entities. So these are the 2 very important aspects for the speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam. Determination. Determination means he should be determined. He should have full confidence or good confidence in the words of the word of the Lord, and then only the determination can come. So he should once he speaks with determination, with full confidence, with full faith, full surrender in the Lord. Then the message becomes very lively. Then the message becomes very potent. And if it is not done with the ulterior motive, it is done with the purity of the heart, compassion for the other living entities, with the feeling that I have been very fortunate enough to receive this knowledge from my spiritual master, my spiritual teachers, and personally I have experienced the purifying potency of this message. I have gained a lot of happiness and enjoyment from this message, and similar joy, similar relief from this pangs of material existence, I would also like to extend it to other living entities who are miserably suffering in this world for want of this knowledge. Probably some of them don't know what this knowledge is and how they can become happy, and some of them probably even know about it, but they are not able to understand it because of lack of resources, lack of teachers, good teachers, etc., etc. So with people who have that kind of missionary zeal, a brahmanical bent of mind, not a kshatriya bent of mind. So kshatriya bent of mind means he would want to improve their influence, like kshatriyas would expand their kingdom. So it should not be done in that spirit. Neither it is to be done in a Vaishya spirit. Vaishya spirit means earning a lot of wealth and so on. But it has to be done in a Brahmanical bent of mind. Brahmanical bent of mind means with the welfare of the other in the mind, in the heart of the speaker. First and foremost, that should be the intention. So intention has to be pure. The transmission has to be pure. Transmission has to be pure means we need not adulterate the purity of the message, as we have heard yatha mati yatha shrutam, as we have heard from our parampara, from our spiritual masters. We need to present it in the same way. So then only this message will be able to create some positive transformation. Then only the people who will hear. So actually what happens is that the transformation does not come only from the information. The transformation comes from the devotion that is present in the heart of the speaker. So when the person speaks Srimad Bhagavatam, he speaks with some emotions involved in mixed with it. And when the message is received by the others, the message goes together with the devotion in the heart of the speaker. And that is the message with the devotion of the speaker actually brings out the transformation in the heart of the hearer. So that is the main message. Please describe the signs of Godhead with determination and in a manner that it develops bhakti in all living entities. So if we maintain that purity of intention, if we maintain that purity of transformation, sooner or later, some degree of transformation is bound to happen. That is the test of our own presentation of Srimad Bhagavatam. So now we move to the next one. Okay, now we have a recitation to be done. 53rd verse. So, Anuradha Mataji, I will recite. Kindly repeat after me.
Yes, Prabhu.
Mayam varnayato mushya
Mayam varnayato musya
ishwarasyanumodataha
Ishvaranumodataha
ishwarasyanumodataha
Ishvarasyanumodataha
Shrunvata Shraddhaya Nityam
Srinavata Shraddhaya Nityam
Mayayatmana Muhyati.
Mayayatmanamuhyati.
Yeah, please
The
read.
Lord's activities in association with His different energies should be described, appreciated, and heard in accordance with the teachings of the Supreme Lord. If this is done regularly, with devotion and respect, one is sure to get out of the illusory energy of the Lord.
Now, let us read. This is a very interesting verse. Mayam Varnayato Mushya. Mayam Varnayato Mushya. Ishwarasya Anumodata. Mayam Varnayato. Mayam Varnayato would mean, say, whatever description Brahmaji has made so far is actually all about Maya. It is not about spiritual world. It is about material world. And material world, everything is Maya. Maya means this is not spiritual. This is material. Maya, one that is not me. Ya means ma means not. Ya means this. So this is not. This is not. So this is not means this is not spiritual. So Mayam Varnayato Mushya. Mayam Varnayato Mushya. The Lord's activities in association with his different energies should be described, appreciated, and heard in accordance with the teachings of the Supreme Lord. Ishwarasya Anumodata. So we should understand the potencies of the Lord, the different energies of the Lord. For example, we are talking about the material energy, because that is what Lord Brahma described to Narad Muni, the material creation. But we need to understand it according to the teachings of the Supreme Lord, how the Lord created that, what is the relevance of that particular pastime, etc., etc. So once we do that, Shranvata Shraddhaya Nityam, once we hear about that information of how the Lord created this material energy, this material world, if we hear Shranvata with Shraddhaya, with devotion, and Nityam, Nityam means on a regular basis. If this is done regularly with devotion and respect, with Shraddha and respect, but regularly, Maya Atma Namuyati, one is sure to get out of the illusory energy of the Lord. Maya na muhyati. Muhyati means one does not get bewildered by this Maya Atma, by this Maya energy. One does not get bewildered about it. Once he understand why it is created, for what purpose it is created, how it is created, who created it, all these details, if somebody realizes it, somebody reflects on it, somebody understands it properly, then he understands that actually it is a very complicated place. There are so many material universes. Each universe has so much thick covering of many miles and so on: earth, air, water, fire, ether, uh, and then intelligence, mind, ego, etc., etc. And then uh, the whole creation within this material nature is full of three modes of material nature: sattva, rajas, tamas. So much of complicated foundations we have, foundations and bondations. It is something like, when we hear about all this description, it gives us a feeling that we are really very much trapped in a very complicated place. Sounds like a jail. Sounds like a enigmatic, I would say, a very complicated and a complex place to be in. So after hearing all that complicated descriptions about the material world, or this Maya energy of the Lord, one should may get this feeling that they are in a very complicated place, and they may develop this desire to get out from this complexity in their lives, from this jail. So, and how they can get out from this complicated place, that is also Brahmaji described, that simply by surrendering to the Lord. The way the Lord has described how can we surrender: by devotional practices, by hearing regularly about the Supreme Lord, or by regularly hearing about Maya, we can actually develop this desire to come out from this complicated location, from this complicated place. So this is the importance of understanding of creation pastime. So sometimes when we hear some prayers and so on, so at the end of the prayer, sometimes we discuss the falashruti of reciting the prayer or hearing the prayer. And in many places, the prayer says that if you recite this prayer in the evening, if you recite this prayer in the morning, then you will not take birth again, or your many generations will be liberated, or you will be ever happy, and so on and so forth. So this is a specific style in the scriptures, where like we hear about advertisements. So advertisements is mainly about, if you purchase this object, if you purchase this object or this service or this facility, your life will be very improved, and so on. So similarly, our scriptures also kind of make advertisements, and that is what we can call it as arthavad. Arthavad means giving some allurement to the practitioner or the follower of the scripture, so that he feel or she feels encouraged, she feels elevated and encouraged. So something very similar nature here we can see from this last verse of the 7th chapter, where importance of understanding creation pastime. So if we hear this creation pastime, then what we are going to get as a fruit is, then we will develop this desire that we are in a very complicated place, and we will develop this eagerness to come out from this complex situation and get rid of this illusory energy of the Lord, which is the Maya energy of the Lord. So that is how Brahmaji concludes this chapter. So that was the chapter number 7. So that was 5th chapter, 6th chapter, 7th chapter, all where we started the narration of this creation pastime. It was quite technical, and I would really appreciate all the devotees who showed a lot of patience and interest understanding this complex and complicated topic. With that, we move to the next chapter, which is the 8th chapter. Now, in the 8th chapter, we'll give you a little introduction about the 8th chapter. But before we go about the introduction of the 8th chapter, we will do a little recap of whatever we have done in the 2nd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam from beginning till now, just to refresh everyone's memory. And once again, people are able to connect the dots and so on, whatever we have just done the discussion in probably past 15-20 classes. Uh, uh, the verses that we are going to cover are not till 23. Maybe I have to edit it once again. We will only cover the first 6 verses. They are all very nice, important verses. We will cover first 6 verses. And the title of this chapter that Prabhupada is given is Questions by Parikshit Maharaj. And I will come to that, why the title has been given as Questions by Parikshit Maharaj. But before that, okay, we will maybe look at this overview map a little later. But first of all, let me do a brief recap from chapter number 1 to chapter number 7 of the 2nd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, Srimad Bhagavatam 2nd canto started with Shukdev Goswami answering Parikshit Maharaj questions, and Parikshit Maharaj asked these questions at the end of canto number 1. And in short, the question was, please can you tell me what is the duty of a dying man? Although there were few other sub questions, but we will keep it in a very summary brief level. So the gist of all those questions was, my dear sir, I am about to die in 7 days, and if you can please help me explain what is the duty of a dying man. So that was the question at the end of canto number 1. And at the beginning of canto number 2, Shukdev Goswami start to answer that question. And the answer to that question is very sweet and simple, and that the answer is, it is the bhakti of the Supreme Lord. In response, Shukdev Goswami mentioned that it is bhakti. And bhakti also, how to do that bhakti? Hearing, chanting, and remembering of the Lord. Smartavya, kirtitavya, shrutavya, shrotavya, smartavya, kirtitavyascha. Right, like that. So hearing, chanting, and remembering of the Lord. Then, if you see the answer to the question that Parikshit Maharaj had asked, ended then and there. What is the duty of a dying man? Duty of a dying man is bhakti. How to do that bhakti? Hearing, chanting, and remembering. But the discussion continues further. Shukdev Goswami also describes the process of Ashtanga Yoga after giving that answer. And why? Because in the assembly of sages who was also gathered there when Shukdev Goswami was lecturing Parikshit Maharaj, there were many sages who were of the opinion that the duty of dying man would be Ashtanga Yoga and not Bhakti. So Shukdev Goswami then started describing the process of Ashtanga Yoga in detail, mainly to satisfy the intellectual desire of those people, of those sages who thought otherwise, who thought that the duty of dying man is Ashtanga Yoga. So in order to contrast the process of Bhakti Yoga with Ashtanga Yoga, Shukdev Goswami continues to describe the process of Ashtanga Yoga. And that included how a neophyte yogi achieves his goal, how advanced yogi achieves his goal. We also discussed about Krama Mukti, about the universal form of the Lord, so and so on. And like that, we discussed the process of Ashtanga Yoga. But after finishing the description of Ashtanga Yoga, Shukdev Goswami presents his own opinion about the ultimate path for attaining ultimate perfection. What is the best path for ultimate perfection? And that's what he says. It is actually path of sadhana bhakti. Sadhana bhakti means hearing, glorifying, and remembering. So why are we doing this hearing and chanting? Mainly so that we can remember the Supreme Lord at the end of our lives. That is the whole idea. Now, after this whole discussion end, uh, uh, he answered Parikshit Maharaj's question that it is bhakti, which is the duty of dying man, and then he also contrasted the path of bhakti with Ashtanga Yoga. Then the conversation once again goes back to the same location where it all started. That is the discussion between Sud Goswami and the sages of Naimisharanya. Now, the sages of Naimisharanya further inspired Sud Goswami to speak more about Shukdev Goswami and Parikshit's conversation. So, what these sages say that, my dear sir, don't stop here. We know that Shukdev Goswami was also a pure devotee and Parikshit Maharaj was also a pure devotee. Then it cannot be that when Shukdev Goswami had completed the response to Parikshit Maharaj's question that duty of dying man is bhakti, the conversation would end then and there. Because both of them are pure devotees, both of them are devotees of Lord Krishna, certainly the discussion might have progressed further, and that too about Lord Krishna. So kindly help us narrate all that was discussed between Parikshit Maharaj and Sud Goswami. And then Sud Goswami further starts the conversation. And now once again he takes back the conversation back to Parikshit Maharaj and Shukdev Goswami. Now the discussion of topic between Parikshit Maharaj and Shukdev Goswami is that Parikshit Maharaj asks Shukdev Goswami, please tell me about the creation pastime of the Lord. The Maya pastime about the Lord. How Lord creates this material universe. How the Lord creates all using his all is this Maya energy, creates all this material universe. I will first of all ask you about the Maya pastime of the Lord. Then I will ask you about the more spiritual pastimes of the Lord, how the Lord took birth, what were the different pastimes, etc., etc. That I will ask you a little later. But first of all, tell me about the creation pastime. Then, in order to answer this, Shukdev Goswami quotes Brahmaji's and Narad dialogue that happened many times ago, many years ago. So, he said that there was same topic that was discussed between Brahmaji and Naradji, where Naradji had asked same questions to Brahmaji, and Shukdev Goswami and Brahmaji actually gave answer to all those questions. So I will narrate you the same pastime. Then once again, the discussion from Shukdev Goswami to Parikshit now enters into the third dialogue. So first dialogue is Shud Goswami and Naimisharanya sages. From that dialogue, we entered into Shukdev Goswami and Parikshit dialogue. And from within the Parikshit Maharaj and Shukdev Goswami dialogue, we are now entering into the Narad Muni and Brahmaji's dialogue. So like in mathematics, we have bracket. Then in bracket, we have another bracket. Then another bracket. And like that. So we have nested conversations. We have nested brackets. We have nested conversation. So conversation within the conversation and within that conversation. So like that, we are at the level number 3. So then Brahmaji describes about the process of creation. He stops describing the process of creation, then voluntarily starts describing about the Leela avatars of the Lord. And that's where we conclude at chapter number 7, where Brahmaji says that it is all about the Supreme Lord. Supreme Lord is the cause of all causes, be it creation of the material universe, be it the creation of the spiritual universe. Without the sanction of the Lord, without the mercy of the Lord, nobody can understand the Lord. But if you are surrendered to the Lord, you can understand the Lord. There are many people who have understood it like that. And then this is all what I have to explain it to you. Now, please, you also kindly preach or spread this message all around. So this is what we have discussed so far from canto number 2, chapter number 1 till chapter number 7. I hope that was useful to reconnect the dots once again. Now we will come to chapter number 8. We'll give you a little introduction of what are we going to do in chapter number 8. So chapter number 8 in canto number 2 is the smallest chapter. both in terms of the number of the shlokas and also in terms of its content. So the content is mostly the questions asked by Parikshit Maharaj. It is this chapter very much highlights the eagerness of Parikshit Maharaj to hear Hari Katha. So how can the eagerness be understood? One symptom of eagerness is that when a person asks a lot of questions, that means he's very much interested in the topic. I mean, sometimes people ask a lot of foolish questions just to maybe uh, occupy the space and whatever. But a genuine, eagerly oriented person would ask questions, a lot of questions when he is genuinely eager to hear. So this is mainly to emphasize upon the eagerness of the Parikshit Maharaj. This chapter is mostly spoken by Parikshit Maharaj. Maybe in the end, couple of verses has been spoken by Shukdev Goswami, but it is mostly spoken by Parikshit Maharaj. And most of what Parikshit Maharaj speak in this chapter are questions. Questions. So a lot of questions. Like we have a long question paper in an exam. So we have a big list of questions in an exam where we are supposed to answer, and then we write maybe in 2 hours or 3 hours or maybe a couple of sessions all those questions. So Parikshit Maharaj have asked those questions, a long list of questions, and Shukdev Goswami will continue to answer all these questions throughout the Bhagavatam henceforth. So that's what we will see. So then now we start that topic. So with that background, but let us quickly just look at the recap of, or I would say the overview map of this chapter. So overview map of this chapter, questions by Parikshit Maharaj, chapter number 8 is, so first of all, Parikshit Maharaj inspires Shukdev Goswami to speak Harikatha. Now what has happened till now is, Shukdev Goswami gave Parikshit Maharaj answer to this question that the duty of dying man is what? Hearing, chanting and remembrance of the Lord. Now Parikshit Maharaj understood that question. That is the answer to the question that he had asked. He understood this answer. And now he said that, okay, sir, now when you say that it is all about hearing the glories of the Lord, chanting the glories of the Lord, remembering the Lord, then kindly do it for me. Kindly do it for me. And that's how Parikshit Maharaj inspired Shukdev Goswami to speak Harikatha. And in order to speak Harikatha, Parikshit Maharaj lays down a series of questions, a list of questions before Shukdev Goswami. So you can see here, all the way from verse number 7 till verse number 23. So something like maybe 17 questions at least by Parikshit Maharaj would have been asked, or maybe 17 verses have been spent only asking questions. So you can imagine how many questions would that be. Now again, after ending that list, he once again inspires Shukdev Goswami to speak. Now I have asked you so many questions. Now kindly speak a little bit about all what I have asked you. And then in the end, Shukdev Goswami appreciates the question and then concludes this chapter. So you can see primarily it is 29 verses, but out of 29, 17 verses are only questions, verses related to questions by Parikshit Maharaj. Okay, now we go to the verse number 1. So Anuradha Mataji, please continue.
Yes, Prabhu. King Parikshit inquired from Sukadeva Goswami, how did Narada Muni, whose hearers are as fortunate as those instructed by Lord Brahma, explain the transcendental qualities, guna of the Lord, who is without material qualities, aguna, and before whom did he speak?
So the conversation starts between Shukdev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. So Parikshit is sitting here inquiring the various questions from Shukdev Goswami. So first of all, he's asking, how did Narad Muni, because the conversation was mainly about between them is Narad Brahma Samvad. So after that Samvad got concluded, the dialogue between Parikshit and Shukdev also goes further. How did Narad Muni, whose hearers are as fortunate as those instructed by Lord Brahma. Explain the transcendental qualities of the Lord, who is without material qualities. So, I have not read the Sanskrit of this verse, but in order to really appreciate this particular verse, we need to understand a specific phrase, Sanskrit phrase, that has been used in the original Sanskrit text of this verse. So what uh, uh, Parikshit Maharaj is saying, Brahmana chodito Brahman Gunakhyane Gunasya cha Gunakhyane Agunasya cha. So Brahmana chodito Brahman means that Brahmaji, how did he describe about to Narad Muni the Gunakhyane Agunasya cha. So here the Lord has been described as Aguna. Aguna means one who, Guna means qualities. So here Gunakhyane Agunasya cha. Guna Akhyane. Akhyan means narration and Guna means qualities. So Guna Akhyane. So please narrate the qualities. Narrate the qualities of Agunasya cha. Agunasya. So this Sanskrit asya, like we have Anuragasya or Anuradhasya or maybe Rakeshasya, like that. So asya means uh, belonging to, belonging to. So agunasya cha is aguna. One who is aguna, one meaning of that aguna could be that one who does not have any qualities. So it would be very, I think, counterintuitive if we say that please describe the qualities of someone who is without any qualities. So actually the Lord sometimes is described as aguna. Aguna for the Lord, when the description something like this comes, what does it mean? It means, it does not mean that the Lord does not have any qualities. It means that the Lord does not have any material qualities. Like we have Nirguna, we have Aguna. So people who come from impersonalist background, who believe in the impersonal Brahman as the absolute truth, they say that the Lord is actually without any gunas, without any qualities, without any attributes, without any characteristics. But that is not correct. Here, this verse is saying, please describe the qualities of agunasya, without who is aguna. So, the correct way of interpretation all these Sanskrit is that the word guna here, one guna means qualities, and the other guna actually means without any material qualities. So, material qualities would mean pertaining to sattva, rajas, and tamas. So, the word guna, like we say satogun, we say rajogun, we say tamogun. These are all material gunas, material modes of nature. So, saying that qualities of quality-less Lord, guna akhyane agunasya cha. The aguna here means Lord without any material qualities. So that is something which we need to understand here. That is the interesting part in this verse. Now here, there is another important aspect that we need to understand here is, how did Narad Muni, whose hearers are as fortunate as those instructed by Lord Brahma, whose hearers are as fortunate as those instructed by Lord Brahma. What does it mean? Brahma ji was spoken Srimad Bhagavatam by Lord. Then Brahma ji in turn spoke that same Srimad Bhagavatam to Narad Muni. Narad Muni spoke it to Vyasdev, and like that the parampara continued. So, if in this parampara, the person who comes later in the parampara receives the message in the same way, in the same context, as it was spoken originally by the Lord to Brahmaji, then there is no adulteration, there is no change. The potency of the message remains intact, and the person, if he receives that message many years down the line, will be as fortunate as it was spoken by the Lord to Lord Brahma. So he will be same as fortunate as it was Lord Brahma. So Brahmaji was the most fortunate person because he heard the message directly from the Lord. Most fortunate in the disciplic section. Then the next fortunate would be Lord Narad Muni because he comes in the next series. But like that, we can say if the message does not get distorted, the person who is receiving this message much later in the parampara is actually as fortunate as Lord Brahma himself because the potency of the message remains intact. If you hear this message in the same way, you are also going to get benefited by the message in the same way as Brahmaji got benefited, Narad Muni got benefited, Vyasdev got benefited, and so on. So this is the meaning of the lines, whose hearers are as fortunate as those instructed by Lord Brahma. How did Narad Muni, whose hearers are as fortunate as those instructed by Lord Brahma? So that is the gist or the purport of this particular line. So there are two messages here. One is this, and the second one is the Gunakhyane Agunasya. Qualities of quality less Lord. But quality less does not mean no quality. Quality less means having no material qualities. We go to the second one. Mataji, please read.
The king said, I wish to know narrations concerning the Lord who possesses wonderful potencies are certainly auspicious for living beings in all planets.
Here, Parikshit Maharaj is actually now very much inspired. As you can sense from the wordings of the verse, I wish to know the narrations concerning the Lord who possesses wonderful potencies. Wonderful potencies means in the Sanskrit, the verse says, Harer Adbhut Virasya. Harer Adbhut Virasya. Harer Adbhut Virasya means very wonderful potencies, very wonderful energies are certainly auspicious for living beings in all planets. So Parikshit Maharaj is sharing his realization. He's saying that whatever qualities, whatever leela, pastime, etc., you are going to narrate to me is really going to be very, very auspicious for me because these are very, very wonderful potencies. The Lord is very, he possesses a lot of wonderful potencies. So, and it is certainly auspicious for living beings in all planets. Living beings in all planets means he's saying Katha Loka Sumangalaha. Katha Loka Sumangala. So please describe about the Lord because this description is Katha Loka Sumangala. It is not only auspicious for me, but it is auspicious for each and everyone in the planet. Not only my city, or not only this place where people are hearing this Katha, not only this big city where this event is being organized, not only this country, India, where everything is being organized, not only this world stage, but actually it is beneficial, auspicious to people of all planets, all living entities. So that is how he glorifies Srimad Bhagavatam or the hearing of Harikatha. Okay. Now we go to the third one, and here I would request, I think who was the third one? Charumati Mataji. Yeah. Please read,
Yes,
Mataji.
Prabhuji. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, greatly fortunate Sukadeva Goswami, please continue narrating Srimad Bhagavatam so that I can place my mind upon the Supreme Soul, Lord Krishna, and being completely freed from material qualities, thus relinquish this body.
So again, you can see that realization has come about. So he asked this question, duty of the dying man. So here he's talking about relinquishing the body. He knows that he is going to die in 7 days. And that is why he asked that question, duty of a dying man. And the answer was, hear about the Lord, chant about the Lord, remember the Lord. So he's asking, please continue narrating Srimad Bhagavatam so that I can place my mind upon the Supreme Soul, Lord Krishna, and being completely freed from material qualities, thus relinquish this body. So, like in Bhagavad Gita, we hear that Antakalecha Mamevam. So, one who in the end part of their life, in the while dying on the deathbed, one who remembers me actually achieves me, attains me. So something similar is similar mood, similar thought, similar message is being mentioned here in the same verse. So he's saying, please continue narrating Bhagavatam so that I can place my mind upon the Supreme Soul, Akhil Atmani. In the Sanskrit word, Lord Krishna is described as Akhil Atmani. Akhil Atmani means, Akhil means all, and Atmani means the soul. So I am actually the soul, Lord Krishna, who is the soul of everything. He's the central figure in every affair of this all these universes, and being completely freed from material qualities. So here the effect, the result of hearing Harikatha is being mentioned by Parikshit Maharaj. He's saying that if we hear Harikatha, we will become completely free from material qualities. So Prabhupada ji in the purport gives one analogy. He says that when the sun arises, it dissipates the darkness. There will not be any darkness once the sun is there. So presence of sun means no darkness. Similarly, presence of Harikatha in our life means freedom from material qualities, Rajoguna, Tamoguna, and so on. So freedom from material qualities. So like the sun dissipates darkness, Srimad Bhagavatam dissipates materialistic tendencies from our heart. Our heart becomes purified and purified as we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, and that is the effect of this. And with that freedom from material qualities, there will be no anarthas, there will be no lust, anger, greed, pride, illusion, envy. There will not be any anarthas in my heart. And with no anarthas in my heart, and with positive impression of the Lord in my mind, I would like to leave this body. Manas tyakshe kalevaram, as the Sanskrit in the word says, kalevaram. Kalevaram. Kalevaram means body. Leave the body. Mane tyakshe. Tyakshe means leaving. Manas tyakshe kalevaram. I would like to leave this body. So Parikshit Maharaj, after hearing from Shukdev Goswami that it is hearing chanting of the Lord that is the supreme occupation, supreme duty of the dying man, immediately requested Parikshit Maharaj, Shukdev Goswami immediately respected Shukdev Goswami to kindly uh, act on whatever you suggested just now. So please glorify the Lord so that I can remember the Lord, I can become free from my material qualities and leave this body, relinquish this body in a good state of mind, in the spiritual state of mind. So this prayer of Parikshit Maharaj to Shukdev Goswami is very similar to the prayer that Bhishma Pitamaha makes in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Iti mati rupa kalpita vitishna. So in that prayer, what Bhishma Dev is praying to Lord Krishna, that please free my mind from all these trishnas. Iti mati rupa kalpita vitrishna bhagavati satvate pungave vibhumni. And please free my mind from all these trishna so that I can concentrate my mind on the Supreme Lord and thus leave my body. So it is very similar prayer like Bhishma Dev made in the first canto, and we have heard it several places in later on in Srimad Bhagavatam also, where Shukdev Goswami mentions to Parikshit Maharaj, Ante Narayana Smriti, Ante Narayana Smriti, that in the end of the life, one duty is to remember Lord Narayan. And then we also understood that it is not a joke to remember the Lord at the end of our life, because at the time of our death, the situation is not very comfortable. The whole life which we have spent with this body, at the time of death, when we are about to leave this body, we may be in a lot of distress. We may be having a lot of worries. Although we have been practicing devotional service for quite some time, but it is very much possible that we may not be in a very comfortable situation. So only chance that we have to remember Lord at the end of our life, only when we have remembered the Lord throughout our lives. As a practice, as a determined practice, if we have done that, then only we can possibly remember the Lord at the end of our lives. Or I would say the best chance is only if we have done that. It may be possible that we may still not remember despite doing this, but the best possible chance is only this, that we have tried our best to remember the Lord throughout our lives. So that is something we need to remember. It is not something like a mechanical process. It is something which comes honestly and truthfully, sincerely from the practice that we have continued throughout our lives. Okay, now we move to the fourth one. So, Charumati Mataji, I will recite the verse. Kindly repeat
Yes.
together with me.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Shranvata Shraddhaya Nityam
Shranvata Shraddhaya Nityam
Granatascha Swacheshtitam
Granatascha Swacheshtitam
Kalena Nati Dirghena
Kalena Nati Dirgena
Bhagavan Vishate Hridi.
Bhagavan Vishate Hriti.
Yeah, please read.
Persons who hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly and are always taking the matter very seriously will have the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna manifested in their hearts within a short time.
Very sweet verse. The next three verses, 4, 5, and 6, are very nice. Very sweet. Shranvata Shraddhaya Nityam. How do we need to hear Srimad Bhagavatam? Shranvata. Shranvata means hear, but how? With Shraddha. Shraddha. Shraddha means with some faith. Faith means with some trust, not with some doubt. We can make our inquiries, but not doubt the potency of the message, not doubt the truthness or the veracity of the message, the validity of the message. Shranvata Shraddhaya. So we need to hear with Shraddha, with faith. And Shraddha means we need to have some positive inclination towards the message of the Lord in the beginning stages. And as we continue to hear for a prolonged time, then this Shraddha also becomes a little more deepen, it thickens as we continue to discuss. Because once we hear, we practice. When we practice, we realize, we appreciate, we understand the benefit. When we understand the benefit, we get determination and motivation to hear more, practice more, have more faith. Then we hear further. Then that actually continues and so on. And as we do it on a regular basis, as it says Nityam, it continues to increase, increase, and increase. Shranvatan Shraddhaya Nityam. So we need to have some level of trust in the beginning towards the message of the Lord, towards the devotees of the Lord, towards the process of devotional service of the Lord. And how it is to be done? Granatas cha swacheshtitam. Granatas cha swacheshtitam. Granatas. Granatas means accepting. Cha swacheshtitam. Swacheshtitam means not only we hear, but we also practice. Because hearing seriously, hearing Shraddha means we would practice. We would, if we are taking this message seriously, then, and it is touching our hearts, then we need to take this message seriously by doing some endeavor, by putting it into practice. So, for example, we have been talking about hearing, chanting, remembering. So, and I see the students, the devotees who come to the class have been coming very regularly. So they are probably connecting with this message that we should hear it as a matter of duty, as a minimum, as a matter of duty, we need to hear. And by continuously hearing as a matter of duty, we probably are also going to get some taste. And not only as a matter of duty, we probably may also in future may hear as a matter of our liking, our taste, our attraction towards this message. So granatas cha swacheshtitam. So knowledge, when applied, it becomes realized knowledge. Then once it becomes realized, we practice it again. Our faith, our shraddha also increases. We practice further, then it further get realized, and so on. So this cycle continues to go on. Kalena na ati dirghena. Kalena means with time. Na ati dirghena. Dirgha means long. Ati dirgha means very long. Na ati dirgh means not very long. So what it is trying to say is that if we continue to do it with Shraddha on a regular basis, with our own personal practice, then it is not very long. Your goal is not very long or not very far away from you, that you Bhagavan Vishate Hridi, that Bhagavan will actually appear in our heart. Vishate means appear, manifest. Bhagavan Vishate Hridi. Krishna will actually manifest in our heart. Now the question might arise that Lord is already in our heart, and it is saying that if we hear, then only the Lord will appear in our heart. So what is the catch here? How do we understand this? So any devotees would like to throw some light on this? Why Shukdev Goswami or Parikshit Maharaj here is saying that if we hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly with Shraddha, then the Lord will manifest in our heart within a short time. It will not take very long. So what does it mean? We already know that we have Lord situated in our heart.
He is covered. He is covered. Like Bhagavad
covered.
Gita says, the illusion covers the reality, like the smoke covers the fire. And so we are not able to realize his presence until our hearts are clear of the illusion, of the shad vikaras that we suffer from.
Yeah, that is very good answer. Yes. Yeah, I appreciate that answer. Maybe something more to it.
We should remember the Lord's pastimes. We should go on remembering, hearing and chanting mean not only that, we should start remembering Lord's pastimes.
Okay, but the question was that Prabhu Paramatma is already there in our heart. But this verse says that Krishna will manifest when we hear Srimad Bhagavatam with faith and on a regular basis. So what is the catch?
Maybe bondage or love coming to force the Lord to be drawn towards the devotee. His devotion brings the Lord towards the devotee.
Yeah, so you are coming close to the answer that I was expecting, although Vrindavaneshwari Mataji also gave a good answer. It is not that was not a correct answer. Certainly, we are not able to appreciate the presence of the Lord because of the anarthas in our heart. Or because of the anarthas in our heart, we are not able to appreciate the presence, although he is present here. But we don't actually appreciate that he is actually present in our heart. So, but there is a little more, I would say, technical answer to it. Okay, let me try to share that. So the point is, dear devotees, when we hear that Lord is present in our heart, we talk about the Paramatma feature of the Lord. And Paramatma feature of the Lord is a neutral feature. Neutral feature means his job is mainly to supervise. His job is mainly to see what are we doing, how are we doing, are we remembering him, are we turning away from him. He is not complaining, he is not doing anything. He simply, as a neutral supervisor, observer, is situated there in our heart, taking note of all what are we doing, all our emotions and so on. But when we say the Lord Krishna enters in our heart, means now the Lord actually has started to become manifest in our heart, and this Lord Krishna is not neutral. This Lord Krishna is mainly attracted towards the devotee. He is attached towards the devotee because he is trying to remember him. So that is what is being mentioned here, that Lord Shri Krishna manifest in our heart within a short time. So Paramatma feature is neutral, but when we say Lord Krishna starts to manifest in our heart, that Krishna is not neutral. That Krishna is attached to the devotee because the devotee has called out for him out of love and devotion. So we can give this explanation also, that the Paramatma that is situated in our heart is neutral. It has nothing to do with our devotion. It is performing a function of an observer as a supervisor. But when we talk about Lord Krishna manifesting in our heart, that is more as a matter of devotion. He is manifesting. We start to get the bliss of his presence, and we start to experience the higher taste. And once we experience the higher taste, we lose the taste for lower pleasures, and that is how that all transformation journey goes on. Okay, one another point that is very important in this verse is Nityam. So, Shranvata Shraddhaya Nityam. Not only we need to hear Srimad Bhagavatam with Shraddha, with faith, but we also need to hear it Nityam. Nityam means on a regular basis, not on a part-time basis. Then only this manifestation of the Lord in the heart will be possible. Okay, so we go to the next one, the fifth one. Please continue with me, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Pravishtaha
Harikat
karnarandhrena.
Pravishtakarnarandrena.
Sorry. Pravishta karnarandhrena.
Pravishtakarnarandrena.
Swanam bhava saroruham.
Swanam bhava saroruham.
Dhunoti samalam Krishna.
Dunoti shamalam Krishna.
Salilasya yatasharat.
Salilasya yata sarat.
Please read.
Yata sharat. I shall read the thing.
Yeah.
The sound incarnation of Lord Krishna, Srimad Bhagavatam, enters into the lotus heart of a devotee through the ears and thus cleanses the dust of material association, such as lust, anger, and hankering. Thus, it acts like autumnal rains upon pools of muddy water.
So Bhagavatam is full of analogies, and in order to make the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam very palatable, very graphic, very easy to assimilate, there are so many analogies in Srimad Bhagavatam that makes this literature so very accessible to all of us. So here the analogy has been used, Salilasya Yatha Sharat. We will discuss this little later, but let us first of all focus our attention on the first three lines. Pravishtaha Karnarandhrena. Karnarandhrena means the holes of the ears. Pravishtaha. Pravishtaha means entering. So the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, the message of Hari Katha, when it enters into the holes of the ears, and from the holes of the ears, where does it go? Swanam Bhava Saroruham. Swanam. Swanam actually is referred here to the devotees of the Lord. And Bhava. Bhava means the emotions. And what is the seat of emotions? The seat of emotions is, we call it heart, our heart. So it enters into the holes of the ears, and through the holes of the ears, it finally lands into the heart, the seat of emotions of the devotees. And this heart has been compared to Saroruham. Saroruham means lotus. So enters from the ears, then sits on the lotus of the heart, which is the seat of emotions. And what does it do? After doing that, after entering into the lotus of our heart, Dhunoti Shamalam Krishna. Dhunoti Shamalam Krishna. So Krishna in the form of Harikatha enters into our heart, and Dhunoti. Dhunoti actually means Dhulai. Dhulai means washing, cleansing. So like dhobi, in Hindi we call it dhobi, the washerman, and dhona. Dhona we call it cleansing, the process of cleaning the clothes. That is called dhona, and the person who does it is known as dhobi. So dhunoti shamalam. Shamalam means the dirty things. Krishna. Then what happens? There is an analogy given. Salilasya yatha sharat. So as soon as the Krishna enters in our heart, in the seat of our emotions, in the form of Harikatha, what does Krishna do? Krishna cleanses our heart from what? Lust, anger, and greed. Lust, anger, and hankering. And the analogy is given as Salilasya Yathasharat. So we need to understand this analogy. Like we have monsoon season. In the season of monsoon, the rains are very heavy. Very turbulent rains are there. And because of turbulent rains and because of heavy downpour, the ponds and lakes, they all become very muddy because the water is very turbulent, the current of rain is very sharp, and the water in the lakes is very much agitated. So whatever mud at the bottom of the lake is there, that comes to the surface and the water becomes very muddy. But here Krishna entering the heart and cleansing the shamalam, cleansing the dirty things of our heart, is compared not to the monsoon rains, but it is compared to the autumn rains. Autumn rains. So after monsoon, what comes? Autumn. So in the autumn season, the rains are not as turbulent. There might be some light drizzle, there might be some light falling of the rain, little showers, etc. And this kind of rain does not agitate the water, and the dust continues to remain settled at the ground, and the water actually at the top is very clear, is very clear. So something like that is being mentioned here, that whatever lakes and ponds that become muddy in the monsoon season because of the rains, but the autumnal rains actually make that muddy water very clear. And like similarly, when Krishna in the form of Harikatha enters into our hearts, he also cleanses our heart from all these material shamalam. Shamalam means the dirty things like lust, anger, greed, pride, illusion, envy. Like that, there is an analogy of autumnal rains has been given to uh, present very graphically the process of cleansing that is done by Harikatha. It's very gentle, very sweetly done, and it is done in a way that the sadhaka actually does not realize, and continues to get really cleaned slowly and gradually. Okay, go to number 6.
Devotee never gives up Lord's lotus feet.
Yeah. So, Dhautatma Purusha Krishna
Dautatma Purusha Krishna
Padamulam na munchati
Padamulam na munchati
Mukta Sarva Parikleshah
Mukta Sarva Parikleshaha
Pantha Swa Sharanam Yatha.
Pantaha Swa Sharanam Yata.
Okay. So, please read here.
A pure devotee of the Lord, whose heart has once been cleansed by the process of devotional service, never relinquishes the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. For they fully satisfy him, as a traveler is satisfied at home after a troubled journey.
So, Dhautatma Purusha Krishna. Dhautatma. Dhautatma means one who has been cleansed. In Hindi we call it जिसका धुलाई हो चुका है. धुलाई मतलब सफाई हो चुका है हार्ट का. धुलाई का एक मतलब बीटिंग भी होता है, जैसे फिल्मों में sometimes the hero does the bashing of the villain. That is also sometimes in Hindi called as dhulai, but that is not the meaning of dhulai here. Dhulai means the cleansing of the heart, and that is what it is being mentioned here is dhaut atma, a person who has been dhauta. Dhauta means cleansing, who has been cleansed. Purusha Krishna, by whom? By Lord Krishna. purified devotee of the Lord. And Krishna Pad Moolam na munchati. So once who has been already cleansed by Harikatha, he does not munchati. Munchati means he does not leaves Krishna's Pad Moolam, Krishna's lotus feet. He does not leave Krishna's lotus feet. And Mukta Sarva Parikleshaha. Mukta means get freed. Sarva means all. Parikleshaha. Klesha actually means all the miseries. So those devotees who have attended our Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu classes, we in the past had delivered them in English, and now recently we are delivering them in Hindi also on Wednesdays. So one of the characteristics of devotional services, the first characteristic is Kleshagni. So you can see here, Mukta Sarva Parikleshaha, all the kleshas, Mukta. He become free from all kind of miseries. And how that has been compared, there is another very beautiful graphic analogy has been given. Panthaha swasharanam yathaha. Pantha means who is a traveler. Swasharanam means his own shelter. His own shelter actually means what? Own shelter means our house that belongs to us. Panthaha swasharanam yatha. Yatha means like that. So like a traveler facing all kind of troubles in a journey. Sometimes there are a lot of potholes, sometimes there is a lot of sunlight, a lot of hot temperature, sometimes there are rains, sometimes there are difficult people to deal with. So all kind of difficulties people experience when they travel. But when they come back home, they are very much relieved. Now I am home. I can relax. I can request my relatives to serve me, to help me. I can take shelter of my bed to rest, to relax. I can do activities which are sweet and pleasing to me. Pantaha swa sharanam yathaha. So you can experience, you have experience of that kind of emotion, isn't it? So as I was mentioning that Bhagavatam is a great book of analogies. So with this kind of analogy, we can understand that what effect is there of Harikatha on our hearts. So we are always agitated in the material world with lust, anger, greed, pride, illusion, envy, with difficult people, all kind of miseries. But as soon as the Harikatha cleanses our heart, we are Mukta Sarva Parikleshaha. Similarly, like a traveler who is very much troubled on the journey feels very much at home after he returns back home and takes shelter of his home. So similarly, we also need to understand the importance of Harikatha, the glories of Harikatha, how it can be really beneficial in our lives. It actually can bring us to our home. And our home is what? Our home is the spiritual world. That is actually our real home, where we can feel the same relaxed emotion that a troubled traveler feels when he gets back home. Similarly, we will also feel very much relaxed when we will come back to our original nature. And our original nature is to love and serve the Lord with all our hearts and devotion. And when we do that, we also feel the grace of the Lord. The Lord manifests in our heart. And when He manifests in our heart, we feel like we have been very much relaxed. We have actually come back home. We are very much in the loving and caring shelter of the Supreme Lord. So that is how Parikshit Maharaj is glorifying the Harikatha. He is glorifying how Shukdev Goswami should actually start delivering him the message of this Harikatha to him, because he has only 7 days to go. And now from the 7th verse onwards till 23, Parikshit Maharaj is going to present a long list of questions before Shukdev Goswami, and that probably would be the topic of our next class, maybe little more. Let us see how much time it does it take. But till then, thank you very much. We will take rest. We will stop here. All glories to Srimad Bhagavatam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Any comments and questions, please, you are free to discuss. For next class, Mangala Charan is by Anuradha Mataji, and summary presentation is by Vasudevan Prabhu, and I am not sure whether Vasudevan Prabhu will be able to do it because for few days, few classes he's not coming. So I will check with him. If he's available, then fine. Otherwise, I will delegate it to some other devotees. But if you have any questions, we can discuss now. Thank you. I hope that was not a very technical class, sounded more nourishing and inspiring class.
Yes, it
So
was.
I would expect people's intelligence and intellect is not too much trouble today, as
No, no,
probably it
no.
was.
It was, it revolutionized the consciousness
Okay.
because it is directly telling us that our major problem here is our anarthas. And they are also giving us the solution to it. So it
Yeah.
is up to us whether we take up to the solution or we just go on mingling with that grief. Like, pakad lo khambe ko aur rote
Uh,
raho ki khambe ne
uh,
pakad liya.
yeah. So the point, Mataji, is uh, we should not also be dwelling a lot on our anarthas also. We may have that realization, that is fine. But the main part is that we hold on to Harikatha and let with Shraddha and Nityam,
Yes.
with
Yes.
faith and regularity. Regularity means, I mean, regularly devotees come in these classes. That is certainly good for my own purification also. But I would say that other also senior devotees, very enlightened devotees, very knowledgeable devotees, intellectual devotees, we should also try to explore hearing from them also. I think
Yes,
in
definitely.
our classes, we have given enough food for thought to the devotees to inspire them to be able to make their own way
Yeah.
in the matter of choosing the topics, what they should hear, how they should
Yes.
continue to feel nourished, feel
Yeah.
inspired, and so on. So when the kid grows a little bit, so the parents give them some independence also. Now, my dear son, my dear daughter, kindly explore the world. We have given you the values. So utilize those values and live your life king size.
Yeah. You're right. Very true.
Okay.
It
So
Hare
with
was a
that,
wonderful class.
yes.
But importantly, what I very much liked is what a kind of sponge Parikshit Maharaj is. He's absorbing the topics one after the other. Like, it is a kind of inspiration for us also. Like, because
Correct.
our faiths are somewhere else, our minds are somewhere else, so we are not able to appreciate
Yeah.
Harikatha so much.
Okay. So Ishwar Prabhu also was trying to say something. Yes.
प्रभु तो ये हल्का फुल्का सवाल ही है, जैसे हम कॉमन पार्लेंस में बात करते हैं, एक्सेस ऑफ एवरीथिंग इज बैड. So we see any controversy of that sentence vis-a-vis what we preach. Do as much Krishna Katha or do as much bhakti as possible. Are there any
Correct.
negative things also to talk about it? Secondly, too much familiarity breeds contempt. That also is a common word here heard. I don't know whether it has any psychological or any real meaning in life. So anything you want to say about that?
Say, Prabhuji, the point is, in the life of a devotee, when he starts doing bhakti, it is a very organic process. So artificially, if we try to accelerate this process, then it is a little, it becomes what you say, excess of anything is bad. Organic means we take it to the point we are relishing it, we are enjoying it, we are feeling nourished, we are feeling sheltered, we are feeling relieved, we are feeling happy, we are feeling joyful. Sometimes if we artificially try to do it, then it will be, because it is artificial, it is beyond our capacity, it is beyond our adhikar. Adhikar means our capability. Then it is something which starts to become, I think, extravagant, or I would say excess, extra. But till the point we are, I think, responding to our heart's hankering for hear Hari Katha, or as a matter of maybe some element of duty might also be there, that at least maybe 30 minutes, 15 minutes, 45 minutes daily we need to do some kind of shravanam, maybe in the form of kirtan, maybe in the form of katha, or maybe in the form of discussion with some devotee. It will continue to keep our heart warm, nourishing, loving, and in connection with the Lord. And with that, you can continue to build upon it. And as you accumulate your realization, you kind of take your journey forward. So that is the main message. So there is no negative in the sense that if you do it artificially, then that is not something going to get you results.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yes, Prabhuji. You may also recall the example of Narad Muni in the first canto.
Yes, yes.
So the Lord gave him darshan when when his mother passed away, and he was walking and reaching to a place where there was a river. He took bath, he drank water, got relaxed underneath the tree, meditated upon the Supreme Lord in his heart, and the Lord appeared in the heart. He got the darshan of the Lord. But soon after he got the darshan was taken away. He first once again started to meditate on that form. The same way he was doing it. This time he did not get the darshan. So the Lord said that I gave you darshan just to increase your hankering for me. In this lifetime, you will not get this anymore because service is still not complete. But you have now the hankering, you are on the right path, continue to do so, and certainly you will be benefited. Like that. So the Lord also, you cannot understand the Lord unless Lord has his mercy. You need to do your endeavor as much as is in your capacity, and do it in a very natural, loving way. What is the point doing it in an artificial way, in a mechanical way, which doesn't involve the heart? Actually, bhakti is all about emotions of the heart, channeling of emotions, and emotions cannot be channeled in a mechanical way.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Okay. So with that, we conclude, and thank you very much. We will continue the discussion in the next class, and request the devotees to please consider supporting us for Rishikesh Kirtan Fest by donating sarees, by maybe purchasing one copy of the book or two copies of the book, and maybe with some support of Lakshmi if possible, whatever way. So like that, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Hare Krishna, Shivanji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.